Lately, we've been hearing a lot about the October surprise, something big happening in the month of October before the presidential election that influences the presidential election. My understanding is the first October surprise, at least the one that they were worried about, some people were, the Iranian hostages. Our American soldiers and diplomats being held in Tehran 444 days. There was concern. Look, it's politics, but I believe there was concern that if they were released in October, that it would be bad news for Ronald Reagan. All kinds of controversy about that, and one person had a theory, some professor, that a deal was made to prolong the negotiations so they would not be released under Jimmy Carter's watch. It would have given him a big boost. I think that might be where the whole October surprise notion comes by, but instead of looking it up, I just thought I'd put it to my next two guests. We've got Doug Wead and Craig Shirley, both world-renowned presidential historians. Welcome to you both.
Thanks, Craig.
Gentlemen, thank you. Good to see you. So first, Craig, am I right at all? Was that the first time October surprise entered the lexicon? Correct.
Yes.
It is.
It had been mentioned before back in '68, but when it made the popular culture, when everybody used the phrase, was in October of 1980. And the fear was that Jimmy Carter was going to pull the hostages out of his back pocket at the last minute, produce them, and the American people, in a wave of gratitude, would give him another term. And the Reagan campaign began using the phrase prominently in the newspaper and in the media, October surprise, to play into the cynicism that had grown up about Jimmy Carter over the previous year, that he'd been playing politics with the hostages. And as a matter of fact, the Washington Post ran a long story in the summer of 1980, accusing Carter of doing just that and using them to first defeat Ted Kennedy for the Democratic nomination in 1980, and then using them further to try to defeat Jimmy Carter, or to try to defeat Ronald Reagan for the fall election in 1980.
Very interesting, and I guess I get partial credit because I didn't know about the 1968 thing. Doug, is there an October surprise that you know of that actually made a difference on Election Day?
Yes, they've made a difference. And actually, I have to say, you can go back all the way back in American history, and there have been October surprises. It was William Casey, the director of the CIA, wonderful, eccentric man. I'll take to my grave many Casey stories of deals I did with him in Poland. He's quite a character. He was a campaign manager for Reagan, and he coined the phrase. But yes, there have been accidental October surprises, and have they had an impact? Yes, the DUI with George W. Bush. He won anyway, but it was razor thin.
Oh, yeah, let's go there for a second. So, Doug, George W. Bush in 2000, just before Election Day, like a week or something like that, they found out that when he was 20-something, you know, he was young and irresponsible. He said that throughout the campaign. We didn't know this irresponsible. Let's go ahead and play that.
Obviously, there's a report out tonight that 24 years ago, I was apprehended in Kennebunkport, Maine for a DUI. That's an accurate story. I'm not proud of that. I oftentimes said that years ago I made some mistakes. I occasionally drank too much, and I did on that night.
Well, technically, I guess it was a November surprise. And I don't think, well, that election was so close. Craig, did it make a difference?
Well, actually, Bush was running 3 to 5 percentage points ahead of Al Gore, and it looked like he was going to win, not a landslide victory, but a solid win. And that DUI caused such a massive amount of media coverage that it drove the election into a recount, which, of course, lasted for many days. Of course, the funny irony of the DUI that Bush got in Kennebunkport was he was arrested for driving too slow, not too quickly.
So, interesting. Yeah, well, that'll get the cops suspicious sometimes. I guess
yes,
you could say
exactly.
In October of 4 years ago, 2016, the whole Access Hollywood thing. Go ahead and show us the video. The president survived that. He did. And I have a theory, there's a lot behind that tape. Number one, I think people do understand that people talk differently privately, and that it was a one-off thing maybe. All right, do we have that video or no? All right. Anyway, what's my point about this overall? Wait, what? All right, go ahead. All right, go ahead and play it then.
She wanted to get some furniture. I said, I'll show you where they have some nice furniture. I took out furniture. I moved on her like a but I couldn't get there. And she was married. And all of a sudden...
All right, stop it. So here's the deal. That was, you can only play that tape so many times, and they played it like 80 million times for about 48 hours, and then you can't watch it anymore. But Doug, what was happening right around the same time? WikiLeaks and Hillary's emails, and I think that they actually did more damage and were more significant in that campaign. Doug, am I right?
I think you're right. And what's fascinating about it, Greg, in the book Game of Thorns, I write the whole detail of that scandal and how it was exposed. NBC knew about that tape in the summer of 2016. They sat on it and planned to unfold it. They leaked it finally to the Washington Post. They saved it for October because they wanted to destroy Trump's chances of winning the presidency. It's a fascinating story to see how they carefully walked that right down to the last few seconds.
Yep. They failed. They certainly failed. And Billy Bush is back on television, I hear. Anyway, great stuff, gentlemen. We appreciate it so much. Craig Shirley and Doug Wead. Check out all their books wherever books are sold. Thank you very much, gentlemen. To be continued for sure.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.